Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time I'm going to be taking the first of two looks through my sort of miscellaneous British publishers. So these are books which have sort of come my way over the years. They're not series that I particularly collect. I'm trying to get them all or anything like that. It's just books that have come my way and they're just too good to turn up and like pass over really. And they've ended up in my collection. Some of them I'm just sharing them here before I sort of get rid of them because they're not going to be a focus of my collection. Other ones, well, it's just lovely to see them. Like, for example, this one, which is Take It and Like It, which is absolutely gorgeous early Archer book here with that fantastic Reginald Heade cover. So anyway, that's the sort of thing we're going to be having a look at today. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so, well, as I said, this is the first one, the Take It and Like It. A really, really beautiful cover, this. It's an Archer book. Interesting, it's got the 2 and 6 and then a 35 cents over the top of it by Spike Morelli with the gloves off. It's sort of hard-boiled sort of crime, good girl art cover. Reginald Heade was famous for his beautiful cover paintings. This one's particularly nice. I mean, it even looks unread. Take It and Like It, number 3. I'm not 100% sure, but I have a vague recollection that some of these were found recently. Like there was a small warehouse find of them, which is why there's a few of these around in like nice condition. But I mean, I've had this for ages. 1951, this one's done. And in a similar vein, and I believe I got it at the same time as this one, Mr. Bertrand and the Blonde. So it's not a Heade jacket, I think. I can't see any obvious signature there. But still a very nice, sort of beautiful book here. Sort of from the period of the Mushroom Publishers. 1952, this one. Harborough Publishing. One of those ones that sort of, they call them the Mushroom Publishers, ones that popped up and then disappeared. Now, as we go through these, if any of them need a bit of a clean up, I am going to do that at the same time. I've got my tools of the trade, as it were, here, my little toothbrush and what have you. But a lot of these are different shapes and sizes and stuff, so I'll just do it as we go along. Now, something like that, for example, is actually, quite a collectible book. It's probably at least £20, maybe a bit more. So I need to be getting some of these into like paperback bags. So I've asked my friend Gary Lavisi over in the States what he uses. Because when I see his books in his videos, they always look really, really nice. So we'll see what comes back, because I think I might do some videos where I go through my collection and pull the absolute cream of the crop, the most sort of expensive or fragile books, and bag those up. So see how they come up. This is an odd copy of authentic sci-fi. You will notice that I do have quite a bit of sci-fi because that was my first initial love. I really like this because it's got the War of the Worlds, still from the War of the Worlds 50s movie on the back cover there. One of my favourite sort of B movies, that one. There's an advert for Panther Sci-Fi on the back, which I also love. The early Hamiltons, and they're the guys who sort of published this copy of Authentic here. Now, this one is dated 1953. It's number 34. And as we go along, like there's a little pencil mark, the original price in there. Well, not the original price, but the price someone's paid for it. So as we go along, I am going to do sort of running repairs on these because they've come at all different times whilst I've been a book collector. They've never really had the treatment, as it were. I've never gone over it. And in fact, that goes for quite a bit of my collection. I could probably use going through the whole lot and just making sure everything is as good as possible. Some of this I'm just doing because it's just never been done. It would be nice to keep them as nice and tidy as possible. But you will see quite a mishmash of stuff today. So these sort of go together. These are, well, what are they? Number 9, Jack Shepherd. And this is number 21, Murder Will Out, by W and L Townsend. Now, what are these then? Melofont Press. And these have just ended up, I mean, I don't even know much about these at all. They look more like digests and pulps rather than anything else. Printed at Parkgate Printing Works, Dublin. Melofont Press. Don't know much about those. I've kept them because, well, they're sort of unusual, aren't they? Quite nice jackets. I mean, it's not the sort of thing I would usually collect, but they probably just ended up in the collection somehow, and that's why I've got them. But that's the sort of stuff you're going to see in here. Weird, wacky, and unusual. The Master Book of Detection and Disguise by ex-Detective Inspector Alfred C. Gross. Look at this. This is a non-fiction book. Look at this. It's got inside an advert there, fell open. Closing date was August the 30th, 1937 for Quaker Oats. And just look at it. I love these sort of early books that are illustrated like this. I mean, look at it. That's fantastic. Look at the detail that's gone into that. How cool is that? So that looks like a premium. Yeah, look. Copyright 1936 by Quaker Oats Limited. The Master Book of Detection and Disguise. Look at that. Amazing, eh? So just pre Second World War. A few little sort of fingerprint marks. I do like little premium books like this. This one's nice nick actually for its age, nice condition. A little bit of sort of just a tiny bit of muck on the back, but nothing we can really do much about. But there you go. That's the sort of thing you're going to see in this lot. Now, what's this? Fighters Up. I should say that the initial books that we're doing here are all sort of the early sort of pre-warish paperbacks on the whole. And then later on we'll go into the other publishers where I've got like Ace. I think we've got some Ace books, Arrow, the British Gold Medals, for example, Beacon Books. So we'll get onto those in a minute. Fighters Up, this is just an early sort of wartime, quite pulpy, very poor quality paperback. London, Nicholson and Watson. No date on this, but I'd be amazed if it wasn't around 1940, 41, even 1942. All royalties on this book are being devoted to the Air Force's Aid Society. So, yeah, probably something in line that came out to maybe help RAF widows, possibly, but it is ever such a delicate book, quite dusty on top. And that's another reason why I've got these out. A, because this is sort of stuff that's never been shown on the channel before, but also because now that I've got these books out, some of them have been out for the first time in, well, decades, I suppose, that they've actually got a bit of shelf space now to breathe. And I'm seeing them sometimes for the first time in decades. So this is a Samson Low sixpenny book, same format as the Penguins. This is numbered 31. Now, we've been covering quite a few of these sorts of books on the channel recently. This one in a dust wrapper. So there it is, West of the Rio Grande. So I'm guessing it's a Western, early 30s Western, but very much in the format of the Penguin wannabes of the period. Let's pop that back a little bit over there. This one's got a pound inside, which is probably well worth it. I mean, books like this, I do keep these because I do like having books that were the Penguin competitors of the time. And that was so very similar. Very, very dusty top on this one. So I reckon that's going to come up quite nicely. There we are. That's nice. And some of these, I got no idea, if they're worth much or anything. Now, these are collected in their own right. They're by Vargo Statten, a Scion sci-fi, a Scion scientific novel. So very early, like 50s. I believe these are early 50s sci-fi. These are just a couple I picked up at a jumble sale, I think, or something like that. I've never really been into them at all. I don't particularly enjoy 1951. I don't particularly enjoy the sci-fi contained within. Vargo Statten, not really my bag, but there are people who like them. I don't think they go for a fortune anymore. I think, they need to be really top condition to go for sort of good money, but they are period pieces all the same, aren't they? So I've got a couple in my collection. To be honest, I probably won't be too fussed about getting shot of those at some point as I streamline the collection just a little bit. And some of these like offshoots that I'm not going to sort of be too bothered about, those will probably go that way. But as I said, they don't go for much money. But they're nice to have all the same for the sake of the video. Here's another old one here. What's this? The Shadow of Dr. Ferrari. Another Brains Cunningham story. E.P. Thornton. This is in a sorry old state, isn't it? It's got a bit of tape and stuff on it. Once again, it's virtually a pulp more than anything else. Very brittle pages. Printed in England by the Racecourse Press. Streamline Publications. It's not actually dated. I guess someone knows a bit about that, but very unusual, Brains Cunningham. And all of these have got like a little layer of dust because these have been picked up by myself over the years and they've never really ever been cleaned. So it's really nice to give these the once over. Now, these were very, very early paperbacks. Once again, Alan Lane was quite influenced by these when he was coming up with his Penguins. A Tauchnitz edition, so a collection of British and American authors. As you can see, volume 4758. There were a lot of them. Daphne Adine by Morris Baring. Not to be introduced into the British Empire and the USA. So published in Paris, where a lot of these things were, because they could get away with publishing anything over there. And look, 4 to 6 new volumes are published every single month. This was May 1932 when this one came out. And look at the list on the back there. These are they feel good in the hand. They're well printed. It's a little, that's the Dawson's 13 Rue. It's a French address basically. So this would have been sold in France, in Paris, to English-speaking customers. Lovely. That's the only one of those I've got. I know there are people who collect them. I'm just glad once again to sort of have one example in the old collection. They don't go for much. I think, obviously, like a lot of these things, the more collectible the author, the more they go for. Interesting spine on that one as well. Looks like it's got a 12 franc, something like that, maybe, on the spine. And a price, M1.80. Not sure about that one. Now, the next of the really, really old publishers, I've got a few of these in actual fact. And these are Zephyr books, and these are numbered. Number 32, this one. This is quite a nice one to open with. It's Ngaio Marsh's Enter a Murderer. It's a nice crime one. And I've got a few of these. And once again, these were published on the continent. The Zephyr Library. A library of British and American authors, as you can see. And these that's what it's like under the wrapper there. Just the wrapper's done its job and kept it really nice. And these do turn up now and again. There's a list there. So the first one was A Farewell to Arms, Ernest Hemingway, which was Zephyr number 1. It ended up as Penguin number 2. Some more at the back there. Continental Book Company. They do very, very much remind me of the Albatross books of the period. Very, very similar. Quite big print, isn't it? But that is a really sort of nice book in that library, Enter a Murderer. And we got a few of these to show you. So P.G. Wodehouse, a very early P.G. Wodehouse paperback. He's highly collectible. This one hasn't got its dust wrapper, sadly, but they are a highly collectible. This was had a few annotations put in. Yeah, quite a collectible author. Another crime author, Dorothy Sayers. Lord Peter, or Peter Wimsey, views the body. This one is in a dust wrapper. They look really sharp underneath, don't they? Number 47. So I'm just going to give these a clean as we go along. I think what we might do, because we're slightly running out of room, I'm just going to pull the camera back a little bit so we can see a bit more about what's going on here. There we are. So that's the first three Zephyr books, 32, 33, and 47. I do have a few more. This is another Dorothy Sayers. This is number 87. Now this is Penguin book number 5, The Unpleasantness of the Bologna Club. It's another one that ended up in the first 10 Penguin paperbacks. Also in a wrapper here. They're pretty plain underneath, but the yellow wrapper really sort of makes them shout out a bit, doesn't it? Now this is interesting because there's a change of wrapper design. Number 83, Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. Bookseller's label there in Hugo Jonkers in Eindhoven. It's another nice one. The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. And you've got to say, I got pretty lucky with some of the titles, didn't I? A Library of British and American Authors. This one's 1947. And the last one is Henry James's The Aspern Papers, 158. Also in the red wrappers. Good stuff. So let's give them a little dust off as well. These aren't too bad. They're really heavy. The paper on them is so heavy. There we are. Now, the last of the early books that we're going to be looking at is the Methuen Sixpennies. Now, that's these ones here. Now, as far as I know, there's about 12 in the set, of which I've got 5. Oh, no, there's 14 there listed. I've got 5 in my collection. I've not gone out my way to collect them, but they hardly ever turn up. I have all the ones that I've got I've found in the wild. I don't think I bought any online at all. First published in Methuen Sixpennies in 1939. So once again, this is Metheun's answer to the Penguins, basically the rise of the Penguins. This is number 1 in the series. Got a little number up in the top of the spine there. And there's the list of the first ones on the back there. I'd love number 5, Sam the Sudden by P.G. Wodehouse. There's a sacked roamer there. Author of Fu Manchu, of course. So that was number 1. This is number 4, The Ware Case, the book of the film. So this is a film tie-in. Can't say I've ever seen it. And like a lot of these, they do get a little bit susceptible to age. The 10 Black Pearls is number 6. This one's in a dust wrapper. This is probably quite nice underneath there, nice and clean. It's not too bad. Number 12, The Silent Partner. Still only listing 14 on the back, so I don't know if the series went past that. For a complete list of Methuen Sixpennies, see the end of this volume. Do they just mean the back? 8, 13. Yeah, so they just list 14 books. And the last one I've got is number 15. So it did go, there's 15 and 16 listed. So maybe it did go on a little bit further than we thought. So we know there's at least 16 of them, 1939. But the fact that they didn't turn up very often makes me think they didn't sell that well. And that's why they're quite scarce today. Maybe the outbreak of war. Or is there death now? And that was it. Once war came along, they just didn't have the paper. There we are. So that's my Methuen Sixpennies. So that's all the sort of old, really old sort of books covered. But now we're moving on to some of the slightly more recent stuff. So these are Ace books, and these are a bit more, you know, what you're used to seeing on my channel. Sort of 50s, 60s, and early 70s stuff. They do vary, and sometimes, you know, a lot of these I'm probably not going to keep, but they're in the collection for the time being. This is Ace Books 1957. This is Ace UK. So this one, the only successful escape by a British civilian from a prison camp in Germany. So once again, if you've been watching the channel at all, you'll know my love of First and Second World War escape stories. It's one of my little passions in war books, and started with Colditz and has gone on ever since. So we'll do a few of these Ace books and then we'll give them a clean. These are in rough series order, so that was Ace books. It doesn't actually give a number on the front there. That's H111 on the back. I don't know if that is a number. This is H162, yeah, so it looks like it is, yeah. Listen, comrades. So a lot of these around this time, there was a mass of wartime related publications. And, you know, I pick up what I can when I see it in 1957. So I do have a few of these, but not many, just a few. And these are all seemingly war-related ones. This one looking at the memoirs of Hitler's Secret Service chief, the confessions of a master spy. Now, in a lot of cases, Ace were just a normal reprint publisher. A German officer. Germany in Defeat, a relentless novel of war and its terrifying consequences. This is a non-fiction one again. Fatal Decisions, Second World War. Cover by Vernon. Now a nice bit of science fiction. Ray Bradbury there, the Ace edition of The October Country. Lovely cover that, isn't it? There he is on the back. Hi, Ray Bradbury. Just have a look, see what else it says. So first Ace 1961. Yeah, very, very nice. And I've got one more Ace book, which is this one, which is Fabian, The Wickedness of Berlin in the 1920s. Yes. Time of cabaret and leading up to the war. So that's all my sort of Ace UK books, which is not many. Only got about, 7 there. But they're good all the same. Give those a quick clean off. Tops of them are clean. They are a bit dirty. There we are. Lovely. Oh. And we're well over halfway through now. Okay, so now we start on the Arrow book. So I don't have many of these, and it's not a publisher I'm looking to collect in any sort of way, but these are just ones that have ended up in my collection. I do have like a separate run of Arrow books for my Dennis Wheatleys, but I sort of pick up the nice ones when I see it. So this is the Arrow edition of Dracula. Thank you, Nelson. Wrens of War. Just give these. So I won't be keeping some of these, but it's nice to see them all the same. Zarak Khan. Zarak Khan was portrayed by Victor Mature in the stirring film based on the book and produced by Warwick Films. Another wartime one. Kings of the Road. I've had this for a long time. This is just like a book on motorsports, which was starting to get popular at that time. 1957, that one. Oh, ironically, another one. Maybe I got those at the same time, I don't know. Look at a particular racing driver, also 1957. This is quite nice. This is a juvenile delinquent title. A story of teenage thuggery in London's East End. Too Late to Mend, Thomas Rainham. Yeah, that's quite nice, isn't it? Don't have many. It's not a genre I collect, JD, juvenile delinquent stuff. 1958 is a first, but I probably saw that at the time and thought, oh, I ought to get that one. As I said, I don't generally pick up Arrow books because they just, they don't appeal to me like that. But that is quite a nice one. That not many more of those. Book on Gallipoli there, Alan Moorhead. It's quite a nice edition, that one. That was an Arrow Giant, and then the last one we've got is another one by Bram Stoker, The Lady of the Shroud. Horror rises from a storm-tossed sea. Lovely. So we'll give them a little, give them a quick wipe, just to make sure they're nice and clean. They don't need a lot of these, I don't think, but Dracula's looking a little bit worse for wear. I suppose he is 1,000 years old. As I said, I'm not going to keep all of this stuff, but I am going to keep some of the bits I quite like. So that's all the Arrows. Then we move on to the British Beacon books, so not the American ones, and these are the British ones. Now, I had a quick look through these, and there's one missing, and that's Savonarola by Winston Churchill, because that is with my Winston Churchill collection. However, out of the entire run, this is probably the most collectible one, which is the British edition of the Body Snatchers. Real cool book, and this was an early Beacon. I don't know if it's numbered Beacon or not. 1957. Does it give me the Beacon number? No, it doesn't. But very nice all the same. I think some of the later ones are numbered. A Dream of Treason, Morris Edelman. Yeah, see, in actual fact, that one is... There's a number on the back. I think it's number 10. On the spine, rather. This is B14, Leopard in My Lap, Michaela Dennis. Famous TV and film personality tells her story about leopards. Well, there you go. Looks like an early born breed, doesn't it? Jungle Road to Tokyo. Vivid account of war in the Pacific. That's B18. Piece of Cake, Jeff Taylor. An Australian pilot tells his vivid story. B-21, looks like they're in a camp of some sort there. By the look of it, it might be another escape book. I got another one, The 27th Day. John Mantley, a gripping novel of adventure and suspense. I thought for a moment it was sci-fi, but it's a bit of a beaten up old copy, that one. 1958. I'm surprised I got so many, to be honest. Flamingo Feather, Lawrence van der Post. I'm sure you've heard of him. Intriguing novel of African life. And the last one in these beacons is Beacon 54, B54. Best Foot Forward, Colin Hodgson. Nice perspective jacket, that one. Cool. So that's my British beacons. So I'll give those a bit of a scratch down here. Yeah. Didn't realise I had quite so many. They don't turn up very often. I don't go out of my way to get them. As I said, I've got one more, which is in my Churchill books. So when we do get round to covering the Churchills, we'll be able to have a look at that then. Churchill did write one book of fiction called Savonarola, and Beacon. Beacon published it, came out like 1904 or something. I don't think it's any good, but because Churchill was so popular back then, it got rescued from obscurity. Okay, then a couple more odd ones here, and that is this, which is a Cassell wartime paperback, August 21st, The Rape of Czechoslovakia. Cassell did a lot of military titles. This looks like, when was this one? 1968. They did a nice series on the, I'm taking out the price here, on the Second World War, Cassell. But this is one of their early ones. Probably, once again, won't keep that one, but nice to have a look at, all the same. Here's a Compact, which is a bit of a soft-core title by the look of it. Strictly Wild. They made their own hell on earth and then tried to drag others down to their level. There we are, Strictly Wild, Hilary Brand. There wasn't a lot of sleaze titles originating in the UK, but they did end up importing a lot of American stuff. Now, these next ones is just the tail end of my gold medals. Now, these are British gold medals, and a lot of these you might have seen in my pickup videos, so I know they've already been cleaned, but we'll zip through them all the same. So there's now 112, The Soft Arms of Death. And they are nice, but I still prefer the American editions, Escape to Love, but these are really nice condition. These once again of a particular chap who had some really top grade paperbacks. George Axelrod, Blackmailer. Edward Aarons. Now, lovely condition, aren't they, these? The Cheaters, nice cover, that one. Some of them they use the gold medal jacket, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they nick from somewhere else. Meanwhile, Back at the Morgue there, that's a Mike Avallone title. Mike's son is on YouTube. He does Pulp Today, is the name of his channel. Star Trek, Robert Colby. And he looks at his dad's work and other things. Dead Dolls Don't Talk, Day Keen. This is Gold Medal 635, UK edition again. Last few now. This one's by Robert Bloch. Was known for Psycho as his main sort of work. Atoms and Evil. The Wailing Frail, Richard S. Prather. War with the Gizmos, Murray Leinster. Sci-fi title, not one of the best. And And this last one is just an odd horror one, which is another early sci-fi, 50s sci-fi. So Harold Spencer Jones, Life on Other Worlds. And that is about the first half, looking through my sort of miscellaneous publishers. So let's get those sorted and take a final sort of overview look. So there you go, that concludes the first look at these miscellaneous British publishers, and it's a bit of an odd mixture in there, but it's just sort of bits and pieces that have been collected over the years, and I did want to just put them onto film before I started getting rid of a few of those bits and bobs. There certainly are a few bits that I'm not going to be keeping, but they're interesting all the same. If you have enjoyed today's video, do look for part 2, where I do sort of the second half of these, probably in a week or so's time. Do please give the video a thumbs up, and do please consider subscribing if you've not already for regular vintage paperback content, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.